Okay, no more permissions. Okay, hang on. Because I haven't.
Green button share screen irke Pratibha.
Yeah, it's now my system is asking that I should give permission, which I have. So, oh, okay, that's the prayer of found in Yoga Vasistha. So as you can see, the meaning, the very core purpose, when I read this, the core purpose of this text comes through. Yeah, so I think that's a very beautiful shloka to study. Okay. Yes. Okay. So let's, any text we want to study, we have to start with what is this text, who wrote it, why did they write it, what is the purpose, and understand the basic details. So let's start with Yoga Vasistha. There are two texts in the name of Yoga Vasistha, Brihat and Laghu Yoga Vasistha. As the name suggests, the Brihat Yoga Vasistha is the bigger and original, if I may use that word, text. It's big. It is said to contain about 36,000 shlokas and 74,000 shlokas of commentary, extensive. I mean, these commentaries are not like 3-4 lines long. Some commentaries can run into pages. So it is an extensive text. 100,000. The numbers may vary here and there, as in any Indian literature that we take up, because of the antiquity and the lack of, historical record, because this is a civilization and so old that, and we don't have records for everything. It's an oral tradition. So the Brihad Yoga Vasistha is the main text, which is quite large, and the Laghu Yoga Vasistha is something that is a shorter version of the same. It contains only 6,000 shlokas and an equal number of commentaries. So it is fairly smaller when compared with Brihat. And but it is said to retain the quintessence of the bigger version, the main keeping intact the main message, and in fact pretty much verbatim. Sorry, I'm going to sign it. Pretty much verbatim all the shlokas, except cutting out the explanations and extensive details. So when reduced with that, this becomes something smaller, manageable, and a lot of us studied this. I haven't studied Brihad Yoga Vasistha, to be honest. I have to undertake that at some point. But Laghu Yoga Vasistha is equally studied. That's about the text. When we say Yoga Vasistha, there is also one Yoga Vasistha Sara. Different publications are there. That's even smaller. But wrote this. This is attributed to Valmiki. And as the name suggests, Yoga Vasistha. This is a conversation between Rama and Vasistha that happened. It's a retelling. Valmiki is retelling this to Rishi Bharadwaj. Bharadwaja Muni comes to Valmiki and asks him, personality such as the great Rama, how did he live this, mundane material life? How did he manage this? And Valmiki goes on to tell him of this incident where Vasistha was counseling Rama, was giving advice to Rama on all things life and mind and spirituality and liberation. That is the background. So Yoga Vasistha, we figured out what's the Vasistha. Now the yoga here is yoga as in a moksha sadhana. Yoga is a moksha sadhana, no doubt. Let there be no doubt in that. We all know, most of us, I'm sure by now, that it is not about asana, pranayama, or any practical things that we do. Yoga is a moksha sadhana, meaning what a path that is going to take me to liberation, to moksha, meaning from this samsara, freedom from that. So the yoga that is talked about here, there are sections where there is talk of kundalini, the chakras, and some pranayama, nadis, but very small portion. Yeah, mainly this is about yoga in general sense. Same as in Bhagavad Gita, we have Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Vibhuti Yoga. Same way here also, yoga in general sense is talked about. Yeah. Anyone knows what exactly was the conversation? I mean, what is the background of this conversation? When and
Yeah. Can I say in Hindi?
yes, please go ahead.
हाँ,
Participate.
जब राम जी को वन मुकुट के लिए जब उनको मतलब उनका मुकुट को क्या बोलेंगे उसको, उनका जब राजकुमार से राजा बनते हैं वो, तो दशरथ जी उनको बुलाते हैं कि आप राजा बन रहे हैं। तो उसके बाद में फिर उनको लगता है कि मैं लिबरेशन में ये सब में क्यों आ रहा हूँ, मुझे लिबरेशन जाना है। तो जब उनका माइंड सेटअप चेंज करने के लिए, लाइक अर्जुन का जब माइंड सेट भगवत गीता महाभारत के टाइम पे हुआ था, तो कृष्ण ने आके उनका माइंड सेट चेंज किया था। वैसे ही यहाँ पे वशिष्ठ गुरु आके फिर उनका माइंडसेट उनको चेंज करते हैं। मतलब दिस इज द आई नो दिस मच, मे बी आई डोंट नो राइट और रॉन्ग, बट दिस
So you
मच आई
got
नो।
the core message, right? That
हाँ
Vasistha
हाँ,
gave Rama advice to work on his mind. Anyone else?
I think Pratibha, you have to translate it into English, whatever Ankit.
Yeah. So what she said was, thankfully I understand some Hindi, though in the down south, not many of us know Hindi. So what she said was, correct me if I'm wrong, my limited Hindi. Yeah. What you said was that Rama, at the time of Pattabhisheka, the crown, I don't know, Pattabhisheka is the word
यस
that I
यस,
can say,
हाँ हाँ,
right?
यस।
Crown, that whatever the ceremony, Rama said, I do not, I mean, all of this does not lead me to liberation.
राज तिलक इन हिंदी, राज
Raj
तिलक।
Tilak, is it? Okay, okay. So at that time, Vasistha gave him advice to help him change his mind. Am I saying it correct, what you said?
यस, आई थिंक आई थॉट सो ओनली।
Okay, okay. So I'll tell you what, anyone else wants to try? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and what the actual Laghu Vasishta, Yoga Vasishta says, I'm going to give that story. So Rama, this, Kshatriya prince, he is growing up as a prince and, he gets all the education of a Kshatriya in warfare and in Dharma Shastra. I mean, I wouldn't know, but he gets basically all the education that a young prince goes through, gets, that he needs to rule. And he's about the age of 15 or 16, a young boy. He's completed his education. Yeah. And at that time, he asks his father, Dasharatha, permission to go on a pilgrimage. He says, I want to, go visit different kshetras and, stay in some ashramas and go see the world in a spiritual way. So Dasharatha grants him that permission. So Rama goes and does this. He goes and stays in various tirthas and, is involved in his stays with, he has this whole sangha of, in this process, he gets a sangha of various munis and rishis and he does all of that. And then he comes back to, once his tirtha is done, he comes back to the palace. But what happens is his attendants, he's a prince, right? So his attendants, everybody notices that Rama is quite detached or depressed, quite despondent. He doesn't have any interest in getting up and putting on, his, the prince clothes and jewels and even doing nitya karma, no interest in eating or drinking, nothing. He is very depressed. And they go and report this back to Dasharatha. Hey, since Rama came back, he's like this. So Dasharatha calls him and, sats him on his lap and he says, okay, Kana, what's the problem? Why are you depressed? And Rama doesn't really elaborate. And he says, how the teenagers are. So same way, he says, nothing, father. And he goes away. So this is when, so Rama is like this. And this is when Vishwamitra comes. So I think everybody must be familiar with this. Just let me know if anyone wants to jump in, unmute and Let me know. Yeah. So Vishwamitra, we all know what he wanted to, why he came to the court. He wants to ask Dasharatha to send Rama to, deal with the Asuras, to fight them and kill them maybe. So because they are disturbing the yajna that Vishwamitra is doing, so he's come to Dasharatha to ask Rama to send him for protection and, so that he can do his yajna. So this happens. Vishwamitra is there, and Vasistha is being the chief rishi for that family. Vasistha is also there in the court, and Dasharatha, as we all know, initially rejects. He says he's already worried that he's just newly minted prince. He's got barely no field experience, and he's already depressed. He knows that in his mind. So he tries to say, I will come myself. And of course, Vishwamitra, as is his nature, gets upset and he tries to, he starts to curse, which is when Vasistha intervenes. Let me know if I'm going too fast. I'm a little fast because all of us know this story. Yeah. If you need me to slow down or stop or repeat, please feel free. So this is when Vasistha interferes and, he says, he advises Dasharatha, no, don't do that. It'll be good for Rama to go with Vishwamitra. So he says, call Rama. Let's talk to him. So Rama is called to the court. In the meanwhile, Vasistha, Dasharatha is, all the attendants are coming and telling that Rama is like this, he's depressed. And Dasharatha also, Vasistha also comes to know. And when asked, once Rama is there, Vasistha, and they're all asking him, come fight. And Rama again, he goes on like, oh, all this life is such a, this is all a waste. And what is of this, all the material wealth and all of this is so useless and everything. So he goes on this, long, he goes on to say that, he's not, what is the point of this? And this is when Vasistha, he recognizes that this depression is not depression of the ordinary kind, which sometimes even we'd get, like, if you have lost a loved one, or if you have lost some money, or some things that everyday things that happen in life, in the course of life, it is not that kind of an ordinary depression. This is a sign of spiritual development of in Rama. So, and he needs the proper guidance and counseling for him to come out of this depression and move on with life. Yeah. So he recognizes that. So we'll see how in there's more detail in it. But for now, yeah. So he recognizes this. He says, come, I will give you advice. And yeah. So that is the whole background of this. That's when, Rama starts to tell him what is his problem, and Vasistha giving advice is the entire Yoga Vasistha. Clear so far? Everybody with me? Okay. So there are 6 chapters in this text. It's chapters, section, whatever we want to. Prakarana, according to this, the vocabulary used in the text is prakarana. Each one is a prakarana. Vairagya prakarana, mumukshu prakarana, utpatti prakarana, sthiti prakarana, upashanti and nirvana. Yeah. So the very first chapter, Vairagya prakarana, is entirely Rama's polambal. What's the right word? Rama is, expressing his depression. He goes on like a, long tirade on life, ahankara, manas, and all the material wealth and all of this. What is the point of this? And he says, I would rather expose myself to the torments of hellfire than undergo this, mental torture of having to continue this material life. Yeah, so that entire Vairagya Prakarana is this one, the Rama's depression. Does this remind anybody of any other text? Any other situation, very famous situation?
Arjuna Vishad Yoga?
Exactly. Very first chapter, Arjuna goes on his, complaints and that how can I do this? How can I do that? And Bhagavan again, there also instructs him on, guides him to moving on from that depression and how to go on and fight. Yeah, so it's very similar to that. So the first chapter, and then the next, the next chapter, Mumukshu Prakarana, we'll see how. Mumukshu Prakarana is where longing for, sorry, somebody say something?
Yeah, why is it named Vairagya? Because Vairagya for me is coming out of the situation with strength, but here it is given as depression.
Yeah, so that is a very common misunderstanding of the term Vairagya. Vairagya is dispassion and detachment. It is not that, you know, in even in the Tamil, at least here we say Vairagya. It's not that. Vairagya is having dispassion or detachment, as in this thing does not affect me anymore. I have given up sugar. It does not affect me anymore. It's a very gross explanation. So it is not coming out of something with strength. It is detaching oneself from material or iha para, both. That is Vairagya. Yeah, so here, in a sense, Rama has Vairagya. He feels detached. He feels he is at that precipice of that stage. We'll see how. We'll see the Sadhana Chatushtaya, then it might make more sense to you. But for now, just understand that Vairagya is detachment. It is not, yeah. So that's why it is Vairagya Prakarana. And Mumukshu Prakarana is the entire chapter, is about moksha. Rama's longing for salvation and how that fits into the whole, you know, what is his issue. So in order for the salvation, we need to understand the problem is with me and the universe. So he goes on to explain the origin of the universe. That's the outside and the material and the Brahman and the whole concept, the micro and macrocosm, the origin of it. And then the preservation or maintaining sustenance of that. Then what happens in the end? When in destruction and the ultimate nirvana. That is the nirvana prakarana. Yeah. So just for you to know the 6 chapters we will look into. Yeah. So the Yoga Vasistha, yes, it is a yoga text, but it is considered to be one of the earliest works of Vedanta. So all the main Vedanta concepts you will see in this. Yeah. It's also called, there are many different names that Yoga Vasistha is called. Maharamayana is another name. So lots of other names also it's known as. And it gives entirely spiritual instructions. So we've already established this is about the liberation. What is liberation? The Jivatma and Paramatma, are they joining, or is Jivatma joining with Paramatma? Depending on Advaita. So basically, the material, the microcosm and the macrocosm, how the Jivatma can merge with the Paramatma or get liberated. This is explained. So one thing that is very special about Yoga Vasistha is that all of this is given through numerous stories. I believe in the first chapter, there is Shuka's main story. Second chapter, there's about 5 or 6 stories. And so numerous stories. Remember, Rama is a young boy. He may be a very wise boy, but still, one thing that is unique about this is nothing is, if you see some of the other Vedantic texts, Upanishads and all, it'll be a very abstract concept. Concepts are abstract and we have to really, it won't be easy to understand. Whereas through a story, it's easier to connect and understand. That's the best example that, you know, we are able to understand easily. So even a most complex concept is made simpler when we understand through a story. So that's a very unique and special feature about this text. Yeah. So now this text is not for everyone. It is not for a beginner. Yeah. So in the text itself, it's, you know, the author says this is not It's neither for a beginner, a complete ajnani, somebody ignorant in, has no vairagya, completely immersed in the material life in the samsara. No, it's not for that person. Neither is it for a total Jivan Mukta, completely liberated person who is beyond advice. Yeah, so let's stay with that for now. So it's neither extreme, neither for a beginner nor for an advanced. So who is it for? This is where the concept of sadhana chatushtaya, this is a Vedantic concept that Shankara, tells us in many of his texts. So sadhana chatushtaya, these are the fourfold qualifications that are required for someone longing for liberation. What are those? Viveka. We won't go into it too much in detail because then this will become a Vedanta entirely discussion. But for us to know where this places. Viveka is knowing real from unreal, simply put. What is real? The Brahman is real. What is not real? All the material world. That's not Brahman. So knowing the difference between real and unreal. Then Vairagya is having a dispassion. Then Samadhi Shatka Sampatti. This is 6 qualities come under this Samadhi Shatka Sampatti. You have Shama, is control of mastery of mind. Dhamma, which is control of senses. Uparati, so cannot put in simple words. This is how I'll put it. It is the ability to observe one's own dharma without one's own duties. When you practice Shama and Dhamma, then you are able to do your duties without any burdens. That is Uparati. Titiksha is equanimity. It is the ability to tolerate heat and cold, pleasure and pain, all of that. Samadhana is the ability to be one-pointed focus. Mumukshutva. So the fourth, and then the Mumukshutva is longing for liberation. So Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi, Shatka Sampatti and Mumukshutva. Now, where does the person who is eligible fit in? The Rama, remember Vasistha said he is ready for Mumukshutva. So he has already crossed Viveka, Vairagya and he has Samadhi, Shatka Sampatti. He already has, the person has the first 3 qualities. They have mastered it. Now they are ready to move towards liberation. That is the person that's suitable for the study of this text. Yeah. So this sutra, the author also tells us, and I also find it very easy to connect with the entire whole message of Yoga Vasistha. Being yoga students, Yoga Sutra is one thing that we want to keep coming back to connect with everyone, right? So, drashtru drishyayoho samyogo heya hetuhu. Yoga Sutra tells us. What does this mean? Drashtru, the drashta, drishyam. Drashta is the seer, drishyam is the seen. Samyoga, and the sanyoga, the conjunction of the two, the drashta and the drishyam, is the cause of the heya hetuhu. It is the cause of all suffering. So, what does this mean? The drashta is a seer, that is the witness. It is beyond all gunas. It is not affected by pleasure or pain. Whereas drishyam is all this manifestive world, including my body. And so I am thinking, connecting with this body, the material life, everything as me. That is the cause of all suffering. When we understand the difference, then there is no more pain. That is liberation. This core message is what Rama is taken through the entire text. Yeah, so I'm just going to pause here so that, yeah, if you have any doubts, make a note and we can discuss. Or anything you want to point out right now, let me know. We move on. Okay. Okay. So looking at what are the main topics that are dealt with. One is this text, it right from the very first prakarana, throughout you can see this thread of vasanas that Vasistha keeps bringing up. He goes on everything he connects to, to the vasanas. There's a lot of discussion on the vasanas, advice on the vasanas. What are vasanas? Is everybody familiar with vasanas? Yes? No? Anyone
Desires.
would like me to?
Desires. Like
Uh,
desires.
yes, we can say that. So according to Vedanta, correct me if I'm wrong, yes, desires are also understood as vasanas, but in one sense, the desires are at a grosser level. Vasana is even more subtler level. It is a tendency. It is an inclination more. So I have a vasana for coffee that is there. I may detach myself from that, but the tendency will always be there. Yeah, so that is a vasana. It's more of an inclination which can turn into desire, and we know the whole domino effect of how one thing can lead to the other. Yeah, so this is basically vasana. Yeah, and the vasanas, he says, are of two kinds, pure and impure. The pure vasanas, not all vasanas are bad. Yeah, the pure vasanas are ones that will take us towards liberation. The impure vasanas are one that are going to keep us coming back to by being born and dying, the samsara and the material life and everything. That is the impure vasanas. There are two kinds. So we must make sure to remove the impure vasanas and inculcate pure vasanas. Of course, eventually, Yoga Sutra also tells us and Vedanta also tells us, one must remove that, even pure vasana. Remember, if you all are familiar with Kaivalya Pada, Patanjali says, the wanting for liberation is also not there. Yeah. So vasanas, pure and impure. So the importance of the vasanas. Yeah, this is in chapter 4. Tataha tad vipaka anugunanam eva abhivyaktihi vasananam. The vasanas are always, even for a yogi, the vasanas are always there like an undercurrent. If given the proper environment and encouragement, they will sprout. That's the power of the vasanas. Okay. So, does anybody recognize who this person in the picture is?
Shukra, Acharya Shukra.
Yeah.
Muni.
So, Shuka, not Shukra, Shuka.
Okay, Shuka.
Yeah.
Brahma Rishi.
Shuka Maharishi. So, there is a story of Shuka. This is the very first story in that comes in the second chapter. It starts right away with the Shuka story. So here, remember, Rama is being advised on how to move on and mumukshutva. So Vasistha says, Shuka also was having problems, but he attained the highest bliss. So then Rama says, okay, how did that happen? How did, Shuka attain state of bliss? That's when the whole story of Shuka unfolds. Shuka is Vasistha's son. So he goes to Vasistha asking him the fundamental questions on liberation. What is Maya? Where did this come from? How do you, make it go away? And all those kind of questions. Vasistha gives him an explanation, but he's not happy. So Vasistha says, okay, you go to Janaka Maharaja. Now Janaka is considered a Jivan Mukta. Yeah, he's a very high personality. He's not just a Kshatriya. He's highly regarded. So he sends Shuka he says, you go to Janaka and ask him. So he goes to Janaka. What Janaka Maharaja he does? He makes Shuka wait at one particular gate for 7 days. Shuka is also waiting. Then he's moved on to the another gate. There he waits another 7 days. Shuka is cool. He's waiting. After the 7 days, then he goes to another. He's taken to another part of the palace, and where he's given all the comforts and bath and flowers and food and everything, every comfort that one can get. And so Janaka is basically testing Shuka. See how much vairagya this person has. Where is he in his spiritual evolution? So after this, then finally Shuka goes to Janaka. So he says, okay, why have you come? And Shuka poses this question to Janaka. How did Maya arise? How does it grow? How is it destroyed? And all of that. So Janaka explains to him. He gives him all the knowledge. But then Shuka is still not happy. He says, same thing my father said. But still, I cannot understand, but still it doesn't make sense to me. So then Janaka says, see, I made you wait and all of this. So you are obviously a person of high vairagya. Nothing bothers you. Waiting for 7 days, doing nothing, you were cool. It did not affect you. When you are given all the pleasures and comforts also, you were detached. That also, so neither positive nor negative, you are not affected by either. You are obviously somebody who has good level of vairagya. But there's one thing you have not given up, which is the delusion of Maya. You are still holding on to this. Yeah. So then he goes on to give Atma Jnana to Shuka, the direct perception of Jnana. Then Shuka's, all his delusions, Maya, everything falls away and he attains the highest bliss. This is basically, so this is one of very important stories in Yoga Vasistha. That's why I'm going into, it's full of stories. We won't go into all the stories, but this one is quite an important one. Let's see. Yes. Okay. So the next concept is where Vasistha tells Rama that there are 4 gatekeepers of moksha, 4 sentinels, 4 dwarpals, different terms are used, but it's all the same. And you have to make friends with them. If you want to attain liberation, you want salvation, you have to make friends with the gatekeepers. Even if you make friends of one of them, they will introduce you to the others, and thereby you can move on. So what are the 4? Very simple. Shanti, we all know. Calmness of the mind. Vichara is the spirit of inquiry after Atma, meaning the inclination, the effort that one makes wanting to inquire after what is this Atma Jnana, interest in that. Yeah. Then contentment. Santosha is not another term that is frequently misused to denote happiness. Santosha is not happy. Santosha is being content. I do not need anymore. I am very happy I am content with contentment. Then sadhu sangha. These are the 4 things, 4 gatekeepers of moksha that one must make friends of if you want to attain salvation. There was a quote that I wanted to, so there's a just quote I'm going to read. I thought it was beautiful. The sound of Atma Jnana will vibrate only on the strings of Shanti and other qualities. This is from the text. Okay, so I'm just going to again pause just for a few seconds. Anything comes up for anybody, make a note. One more interesting concept that is dealt with here is 7 states of jnana and ajnana. This is also something that we see continuing thread throughout the text. Now, the author says the 7 states of jnana are found in the other texts, but the 7 states of ajnana are unique to this particular text. Yeah, so I'm just going to list out so that you have an idea what it is. So the 7 states of Ajnana, let's go with that because that's a unique one here. It's Bindu Jagrat, Jagrat, Mahajagrat, Jagrat Swapna, Swapna, Swapna Jagrat, and Sushupti. Yeah, these are the 7 states of Ajnana. Same way, 7 states of Jnana are also given. It's Subhecha, Vicharana, Tanu Manasi, then Sattvapatti, Asam Shakti, then you have Padartha Bhavana and Turiya. So these are again the 7 states of Jnana are again classed into Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti and Turyatita states. Come under those 7 states of Jnana and Ajnana are another major unique concepts. Ajnana mainly dealt in this. Yeah. So another big concept that if you're doing any NET exam or MSc, you'll be familiar with this. The concept of Adhi and Vyadhi. Though this is a very, we already said this is yoga. It's all about the mind. Vyadhi and Adhi are dealt with here. It is about, because Rama asks Vasistha. So he says, how is the mental diseases, how does it, the physical, mental diseases and physical, how do they happen? Please explain to me. And that's when Vasistha goes on to explain the concept of Adhi and Vyadhi. We will look at it very briefly. It's a big concept. Okay, so Adhi are mental disturbances or psychological disturbances, stress, basically. Yeah. And Vyadhi is any physical ailment manifestation of physical disturbances. When there is any mental disturbance or a stress, that percolates into the physical body and manifests as Vyadhi. Yeah. So how does this happen? A mental disturbance becoming a physical, disturbance. So when the mind is agitated, when there is stress in the mind, the body also follows. Yeah, so we know the mind and body are connected. When mind is agitated, body also is agitated because the prana then flows in a very haphazard way. The prana flow is interrupted and haphazard way. And when the prana is interrupted, then the nadis, that is also, they do not remain in a steady position. When the nadis are disturbed, then that further everything is all the 5 kinds of pranas and the nadis, that are maintaining the health, your mental and physical. So when that happens, what happens? The food that we eat, that is either that settles in the wrong places, it's digested improperly or undigested and transforms into physical vyadhi. There is a concept, if anyone's familiar with the Ayurveda concept of ama, right? When there is food that is undigested, that becomes ama and turns into vyadhi. This is a global picture of how mental psychosomatic disorders, psychosomatic diseases affect us. Everyone with me so far? You all are probably familiar with this already, no? Okay, so little more into types of this Adhi and Vyadhi. So we know that Adhi are mental disturbances, Vyadhi is physical ailment that comes from the Adhi. Now Adhi is 2 types. One is Sara Adhi and Samanya Adhi. Sara Adhi is something we are born with. We have 3 types of karmas, Sanchita, Prarabdha, Agami, right? So it could be something that one is born with. Could be because of the karma, we do not know. Yeah. Sara Adhi it's called essential. The Sara is literal, if you were to translate. Essential is the word that would be used. So Sara Adhi is essentially something that one is born with, a lot of birth defects that are, uncurable. There is no cure for Saradi, only liberation is cure. There is no cure for Saradi. Yeah. Samanya Adhi, when we say interaction with the world, it's your everyday, let's say, stress, or because of a bad relationship or your work. It could be various things in the course of life. What happens to our mind? That is Samanya Adi. So mental disturbances are two kinds, Sara and Samanya. One you are born with, one you get in this life. Now, same way, Vyadhi is two kinds. You have Adhija Vyadhi, which is coming from the Adhi. There is a physical ailment that is coming, which is what we saw in the earlier slide, because of the mental disturbance. Then you have Anadhija Vyadhi. This has no connection to, like I have my nail broke. I don't know why it just broke. Or let's say some infection somewhere we picked up, or an animal bites you. Yeah. So these are things that just happen for without any mental disturbance. Now we're not going into all philosophical details of why I stubbed my toe. That's also destined. No. Basically, Vyadhi, that is because of the mental disturbance coming from Adhi. Vyadhi, that is normal injuries and infections and normal illnesses that are curable completely. So we have that Mani, Mantra, Aushadhi concept you would have heard, right? In those days, now you have, of course, medicine is a part of it. But in the olden days, if you have any disease, anything, so Mani, the gemstones, various gemstones would be used for healing. Mantra, of course, we use different mantras, Mani, Mantra, and then only Aushadha, medicines will be used. So these various methods, it can be cured. Yeah. So far, okay? Now, the Adhi, so we have said Adhi, one that is coming from Adhi, one that is not coming from Adhi. Now, the Adhija Vyadhi can also be two types. Sara Adhija Vyadhi, Samanya Adhija Vyadhi. Seems very self-explanatory, but we want to just make sure that we know that, right? So you have Adhija Vyadhi, which can be Sara Adhija Vyadhi, and Samanya Adhija Vyadhi. So I'm going to again just pause briefly. Everyone with me so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so far okay?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Okay. So what we will do is look at again some of the core messages of Yoga Vasistha. So according to this, the philosophy is nothing is real. When it says nothing exists, that means nothing is real, only Brahman is real. And that Brahman is changeless, attributeless, beyond guna. So we know that. So all change happens in the material manifest world, right? And again, it says that there is no such thing as bondage or moksha. So what does that mean? Then what are we liberating from? So this Sankhya also tells us bondage, the whole idea of bondage, again, it is all my mental, the soul is free. Soul is not bound. I am thinking I am bound. The moment I realize that there is no bondage, thereby I don't really need moksha. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Then, so why do we then suffer? That's because we mistakenly remember the drashtra drishya yoho sanyogo. That samyoga is why all the pain is there. Yeah. And the root cause of all of this is avidya, ajnana, and we need to end. One needs to replace ajnana with jnana.
Can you please repeat drashya, drashtu drishya?
Drashtra drishyayoho samyogo heya hetuhu. That's a sutra. So what that tells us is, in the Yoga Sutra, the drashta is the seer, the witness, the Brahman, the ultimate reality. Drishyam In the Yoga Sutra, if we study, it gives, Balmuli sir will know, it gives a detail, right? What all is Drishyam? Drishyam is all of this material word, Prakasha, Kriya, Sthiti, Shilim, Bhutendriyatmakam. So it is this world made of bhutas and indriyas, this manifest world, that is Drishyam. Now, Drashta is the seer, Drishyam is the seen. Now, the sorry, excuse me. So the cause of pain is when we confuse the two to be one, when the two are joined. So to understand me, I am body, I am Pratibha, I am a mother, I am a wife. No, I am fundamentally a soul, depending on my orientation. Let's say Advaita, Dvaita, whichever my orientation is, there is a reality and I am part of that. And there is this deep within that Brahman, ultimate reality is beyond all of these identities and qualities. Once we realize that, then there is no pain. That is the cause of pain. That's what the sutra tells us, which is also the essential message of Yoga Vasistha. Because remember, Vasistha is helping Rama continue to live this mundane life. I have to fight. Why do I have to fight? Similar to what Bhagavan tells Arjuna. Don't think you are killing my mama, Peripa, Chittappa. No, those are all souls, right? This is a dharma yuddha, and the souls are going to be reborn. You are not killing the person. You are not killing the soul. It is not possible, which is what is the core message. Does that answer?
Yes. The Sanyoga means
Sanyoga. No, complete.
That is at one point the Drashta Drishya. Can you complete that?
Yeah. Drashtru Drishya Yoho. So the Yoho is Drashtru. Yoho is for the two case, yeah. Of the Drashta and the Drishyam. Samyoga is when one is joining with the other. That is Samyoga. It's pronounced as Sanyoga. It is Samyoga, yes, but it's not Sham, yeah. It's the proper pronunciation is Sanyoga. That's why we say Sanyoga.
And that is what is the cause of all the issues.
Correct. That is the cause of pain.
Okay.
Of the Drashta and the Drishyam. So Drashta is a technical word used only in Yoga Sutra for, if I'm right, yeah? I don't remember reading anywhere. It's a word used by Patanjali to denote the ultimate reality. Vedas tell us it's Brahman. Could be different names. The ultimate reality, abstract ultimate reality, that's the seer, that's Drashta.
So the answer is detachment, right? Detachment is
detachment is a process. The answer is jnana.
okay.
The jnana is that I am a soul. I am this Atma. I am part of, there is this Brahman, ultimate reality. And the Atma that is within me is blemishless. It is beyond, it's like a mirror. The Atma, when I am thinking of myself as a mother, then my teenage child does something, I get angry. Yeah, so then I recognize that in this
Your voice is breaking, Pratibha. You have to repeat it once.
I'm doing this, but as an Atma, which I always, oh, is it? Yeah. Are you saying everyone able to hear me?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
voice
Can everyone hear me?
breaking. Come again once again.
Oh, it says my internet is unstable. I don't know what to say. Airtel is is testing my spiritual strengths. Hopefully it's not too disturbing. Hopefully it'll settle. Let me know if you want me to repeat anything. Yeah. Where were we? We were talking about Atma. Yeah, Vivekananda. I was going to, so Vivekananda is a realized soul, right? So there's a story about him that, one day people in the ashram, people caught him, looking at himself in the mirror. Like, he's looking here and there. He's looking at, himself like how if you get dressed, you'd look. And people are surprised, what is this? Swamiji is doing this. And so Vivekananda, he is said to have, said, I cannot recognize this body. He cannot see, he cannot recognize what is this, gross body. He cannot understand that, how I am this. He sees that he is that soul deep within. He is just that soul. He is just that reality, a part of that Brahman. And to see this physical body was something, that was very perplexing for me, because, he's at that level of spiritual liberated soul. So it's a very abstract concept. Let's get that out of the way. Yeah? For us to even say, okay, tomorrow I'll wake up and I'll say, okay, I am this Atma. That might not happen so fast, but it's something that doesn't mean that it will not happen to us also. Yeah. So, but
I have one question.
Sorry.
I have one question. Like, if I have a soul, and every individual is a soul of the Supreme, the spark of the divine, we say, right? So, but we have to detach ourselves. So, if we detach ourselves from the mundane, what is going on, how will we? So, we have to connect from soul to soul. Is that the aim? But will they be able to? I mean, I don't understand it clearly. Like detachment, and then again, connecting with the soul. So how does it?
Very
Is that
good question. Yeah, very good question. So detachment, we have to understand, what are you detaching from?
From the material interests or desire?
From the results of the life. So we are born here. We have a dharma. We have a certain set of karmas that we have to. The body, Krishnamacharya says, the body is the reason why we should do yoga, so that I can be healthy enough to complete all the karmas that I am born to finish. Whatever is, so I am a soul, but still I am a mother, I am a daughter-in-law, and I have some certain duties that I have undertaken. It's not an imposition. I have taken up this role, these sets roles, or even as a teacher, and I want to do that role, but I'm not going to attach to the results of that. That is detachment. That is the vairagya, the iha and para. So I am doing all my karma, but whether my children are going to grow up and buy me a mansion, I'm not bothered. I'm doing my duty. Whether, I'm getting I don't know, such and so much crores, I am not bothered. I do my duty and surrender everything to the Ishvara Pranidhana. Supreme, I am not affected by the losses or gains or pleasure or pain. Doesn't mean I am so detached and depressed. Means I am doing everything with happiness. But the detachment is from the results, from attaching that this is me, mine. That is what we are detaching from. So to go on to, same thing Rama has to do. He has to go and fight, right? And same thing Arjuna had to do. Why? Because that at that time, that is required of him, of his, that was his dharma. As a Kshatriya, that is his dharma at that time. Same way, all of us in our roles, that's our dharma. Whatever is our dharma that we have taken up, we are doing it, but not attaching to the results. That's the detachment. Think about it. I don't know if that answers, but that's how I understand. Last one. Let's look at one. I'm sorry, I'm going a little over the time. I thought I'll finish this short, but Sorry, Jansi. Last one, little story. Yeah, so it might even make sense. Yeah. So this story is in Yoga Vasistha. Yeah, there is an elephant it's an Indonesian forest. It's a nice, ferocious, a huge, powerful elephant with two tusks, strong tusks, and it's roaming in the forest. And some mahouts, yeah, they see this elephant, and they catch hold of the elephant, tie its tusks with chains, and start climb on it and start riding the elephant. Yeah. So this happened, and the elephant now is under shackles. But after a while, somehow the elephant shakes free of the chains, and in that process, the mahout falls down. The elephant sees that this fellow who was literally riding me, this fellow has fallen down, but it doesn't do anything, doesn't trample him or do anything. It just walks away, and it's roaming free in the forest again. But this mahout, what he does is he doesn't leave it alone. He goes in search of the elephant again, and he digs a big trench, covers it with dry leaves and everything. Damal. Elephant falls in. The elephant is roaming in the forest, and it chances upon this, and it falls in. So what does the story tell us? Why is it relevant? What is this? So the elephant is representing I or me or you, the person, right? And the two tusks, which are its weapons, or which are protecting it, are Vairagya and Viveka. So what happens? The mahout is representing Ajnana. He has bound the tusks with the chain. Vairagya and Viveka are bound by desires. When desires trap them and they are guided by Ajnana, what happens? It's led astray. It's led away from Jnana, right? So the Ajnana is shaken free. But what happens? It is not yet completely destroyed. So what is that digging of the hole and the dry leaves and everything represent? What is that part? When we leave Ajnana unchecked, it just generates pain, because we have to act. That it's impossible for us to be without acting. We have to act. In the process of actions, pains are generated, right? Oops, sorry, yeah. Pains are generated. So thereby, do not leave Ajnana. Do not let it fester. That's the core message. Ajnana should not be left alone. It should be constantly checked and replaced with Jnana. That's the only solution. This story is not my own. It's in the Yoga Vasistha itself. And what it means, all of this is from the Yoga Vasistha. Sorry, I've gone over the time limit. That's why I prepared very few slides, but yeah, big text.
Good session, Pratibha, with beautiful stories and all. But it quite profound, everything, each and every word, Vairagya, Viveka, Jnana, Ajnana. It will lead to many queries and quests, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'll be happy to please note down any, I'll share the PPT, note down any questions you may have. Please share them. I'll be happy to answer anything that I can.
Any questions? Any questions from anyone?
Hey, I have a question. Hello, Pratibha.
Hi, Jikesh.
Hi. So the shloka which you were talking about, the Drishtyaho, that sounds very similar to the philosophy of Sankhya. So is that philosophy also sort of like matching with what Yoga Vasishtha also talks